Hello, everyone, and welcome back to A Day in the Life. I have a lot to say on this one. A couple things have happened since the last episode, which has been, a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. The first thing I want to start out with is this really gorgeous, beautiful experience I had at a career day. I went back to my alma mater, however you pronounce that, George Mason University in Fairfax, Virginia. I graduated 10 years ago, or I guess now it's 11 years ago, in 2014, and showed up for these 9th and 10th graders who, most of them are the first in their families to think about college, figure out going to college. And if they are able to, they would be the first ones in their family to go to college. And show up for them in a way of holding space, holding safety, holding culture, getting them curious. And at first I was kind of like, should I go? Because I've been a professional job hopper. I've been someone who doesn't define themselves by a title, by an industry. But I said no. I said it's uncomfortable for me to show up in what seems like a very stiff, formal environment. But I know that this is for the sake of the kids and the next generation, and those who want to be seen and want the opportunity, are looking for ways to figure their next steps out. So I sat with 9th and 10th graders. There were about 500 of them. And there were about 10, maybe 12 of us who showed up for this career day experience. Most of the adults, I would say, professionals, however you want to call them, were from Dominion Energy. There was one from Innova Health Solutions, another from Booz Allen Hamilton, this big consulting firm similar to Deloitte. And our task for 2 hours was to answer questions. What do we do? Why do we do it? What were obstacles? And just get the students thinking. And I was kind of like, oh my gosh, I graduated high school in 2010. So it's been, over 20 years or something like that since I've been in high school. And now thinking that, high school students have so much technology at their fingertips, and can I relate to them? How can I, not talk down? I want to talk at them, talk with them, or not even talk at them. Be in conversation with them and create this space where they can be heard. But can I get, at their level? Can I understand them, since I felt so out of touch? So I went in with a QR code. I made this webpage specifically for them that had kind of journal prompts, and everything was free, of course. A resume kind of template format so they can start to think about and see, like, wow, these are things that they might need if they decide to go certain routes in career, in making money, in finding their path. And I created a LinkedIn guide as well. And I didn't know what to expect. A lot of the conversations were about actually identity and this resonance that because my parents are immigrants and from a Spanish-speaking country, El Salvador, and me being the first generation born in this country. And there was this question that they would ask me, a couple of the students, what was the obstacle that I faced in my career? And without hesitation, I would say, oh, it was in my first job interview, straight out of college, being asked if I was a citizen. And I would see their faces, of these 9th and 10th graders, kind of this instant recognition. They haven't experienced that, but the similar experience of not feeling enough or not feeling a part of. And there was this girl who told me that, she really identified with my story because my grandma was a cleaner when she immigrated to this country. My dad developed his whole business from his vocations, which were air conditioning and heating. And she's like, yeah, it feels so good that that I can see that it can be done, that there is an after, that it is possible. And that for me lit me up. That for me was humbling and shocking. Just all these different feelings, bittersweet, because I wasn't expecting to see myself in them as much as I did. And it shows me continuously that we never really grow up. The wounds and the things that we go through, whether we realize it or not, conscious, unconscious, are the things we keep dealing with, are the things that keep surfacing, and the things that, shape us in positive, negative ways. And I my biggest advice for them, because I would ask them, well, what does career mean to you? And some boy would say success. And I was like, but what does success mean? And, some of them came quite clear that they're interested in psychology. And there was this one girl that she was like, I want to be in art therapy. I was like, oh my goodness, how beautiful. How beautiful is that? The clarity, the specificity, the dream, of doing what we feel called to do and how we want to be. And at the same time, in the same breath, she would say, but she's also worried about grades and advanced placement classes and getting a scholarship. And this is the thing, that whether we are people of color or wherever we are in the spectrum of all the things in society, we don't get the time, space, breath to really know ourselves, really figure out, because we all have there's all this responsibility and expectations set upon us. And we also still have to figure it out. And we still have to make things work, even when we're lost or we're drowning, we're confused, we're stuck, we're hurting. And that was, I think, the sadness that came up for me in observance, in partnership, in this communal space with these kids was, they see this glimmer of hope of what could be after their high school. They don't even know what their high school life is going to be like. So they're already putting the cart before the horse in certain things. And their brain isn't fully developed, because psychologists say that until 25. So it's not even until after college that our brains are developed. And that all that is happening while they're still having to make ends meet, figure out, can I get a Fulbright scholarship? Can I do this? Is there a way? And that's the thing that I think most of us, if not, I will speak for myself, that I have struggled with, is figuring things out while I'm also trying to make ends meet. And how can I honor the both and, not either or. And so this is, I think, this liminal space, this paradox, that we're all trying to figure out, all of us, regardless of the age, gender, whatever, socioeconomic strata, even though that definitely affects, I'm not saying no, I'm just saying that the common denominator here is the unfair, unrealistic expectations of society, of our cultures, to put the world on our shoulders since the beginning, since before we're ready, since before we might even, realize that we could ever be ready. And all of that reminded me why I love what I do, which is showing up, number one, because I think, not to toot my own horn, but maybe yes, to toot my own horn. Maybe the other conversations the kids were having with the other speakers or attendees didn't hold as much space. Maybe they were more driven towards career and title and status. And what do you need to do to get from A to B, and not just being where you are? Like, it's okay to not be in either island A or B. And giving the time, the space to explore and be curious. I think the other thing that I am quite good at is mirroring and having that empathy, because I think that, and it also with the boys in particular, I would see them just hold it in, just be quiet most of the time. And I would wonder to myself, what are they holding in? What don't they feel like they can ask or release? And then the girls stepping up to take the lead. And, some psychologists say that women mature earlier, but I also think that it's because they're placed more. There's more at stake for girls and women if they're not being responsible and, figuring things out. I think in some ways, or in many ways, I don't know, society is more lenient on men who don't necessarily get a traditional career or whatever it is. So it was so eye-opening. It was so heartwarming and heartbreaking. It was just all the things. And it reminded me that we're all in it. We're all in this cyclical, circular process for, our whole lives. It never ends. We just keep learning and growing and pushing and forgiving and holding space and being kind and giving ourselves grace, and hopefully doing the same to others, with others, for others. While all that has happened, I've also been rebranding my kind of external facing podcast. It is now called The Clarity Shift, because it combines the two things that I feel like are where we are, or create this space of let's talk about how to get clear. What does clarity even mean? And then what do we need to clear or get clear on in order to shift and make the changes and make whatever transitions. Because we are very much, I think, in a time where there's not enough depth, there's not enough breadth, there's not enough space and ocean type atmospheres, just this big, energy to hold us, to hold you in whatever you're figuring out. So look out for that rebranded podcast, The Clarity Shift. And I'm also taking a pause on that podcast for my personal episodes, individual episodes. I have some guests lined up that I'm super excited about. And so I'm just honoring what wants to come through, which is this opportunity to spotlight different guests who are entrepreneurs in the 9 to 5, women, men, who are 3 times older than me, who are just all walks of life. So that's an update. And I will end this episode with saying that I have a new service that I am launching called the Clarity Reset, which is 90 minutes, 1 hour and 30 minutes. If you feel like the 1 month service that I have is too much to commit to, or not fast enough, or whatever the case may be, I want to offer this kind of quick, in the moment service to hold space for you, whatever is coming up for you in the moment, whatever support you would like in your business, in your career, in your job, in your emotional, mental capacity, whatever that looks like for you. The details are in the link below in the description. And yeah, I really just am excited to keep creating spaces for the witness, for us to be witnessed, to be safe, to be heard and supported in these times that can feel very confusing and chaotic. They've probably always been that way, but now even more so magnetized or magnified. So check that out if that's interesting to you. I would also ask if this behind the scenes podcast or this Substack I have is interesting, is supportive to you, and you feel like someone else would benefit from it, if you would please share with friends, family, colleagues who could also benefit from this. That really goes a long way in my work, in all of us supporting each other. Feel free to shoot me an email or leave a comment. Let me know how all of this is landing for you. What would you would like to speak, what you would like me to speak more of to, or what would you like to know more about? Or I don't know, I'm just so curious what you all are thinking and feeling. So I think that's it. Those are all the big kind of things that I've been working through and that have been showing up for me. I hope you're all doing well and taking care of yourselves as much as you can, not putting too much pressure, giving yourselves grace, and again, find my 90-minute The Clarity Reset information down below. Share this podcast with a friend if you feel so called to do so, or if you feel so called to do. And until next time, take care.